everybody, this is Brian with BackStage360. We're in Carlsbad, the sun's about to go down, and we're ready to listen to some wonderful music with this gentleman that I'm sitting with now, Ron Artis. Ron, thanks for being here.
Thank you, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, I know you've been on the road quite a bit. In fact, you just got off the road. You've been in Europe, I believe, traveling for the last 2 months.
Well, yeah, we actually just got, well, it's a little bit over a month, actually. We were in Germany and Austria. Lots of driving, got to see a lot of friends and family, make a lot of music, so it was a good time.
What do you notice as a reaction from the crowd in European that may not be familiar with your music, or are you actually, they're familiar with your stuff? What happens when you're out in Europe? Is there a different reaction than people that know you well out here?
Well, it's really fun. First off, rarely does anyone from Hawaii get to visit, or can't say get to visit, but visit some of the areas we were in Germany and Austria and sharing music. So in that fashion, it was really, really spectacular because they were like, well, we want to know a lot about Hawaii. And I said, well, I'm glad to be here and I want to know a lot about here. So it was a good give and take. And in the performances, European audiences tend to really, when you start a performance, after the first note of an artist or a band, everyone gets really dead quiet, and it's just listening to the experience. And that's something that I think I'll never take for granted going over to Europe to play at some of these places. It's really amazing.
So you were basically the United States ambassador, musically speaking, to places in Germany and Austria. So that's pretty cool. But your music was something that obviously is the whole purpose for the trip. We deal with a lot of bands from Germany and those areas, and they seem to all want to come over here, but really the music business and the appreciation, if you will, of music seems to be so much larger in Europe. Did you feel that at all?
I felt like it's big here in the States and big there, but it's really different, the approach to how the music business works. It has its similarities, but it's really different. Like a friend of mine who helped me with a lot of the shows we did in Austria primarily, his name's Manu, and they have a group over there called Cardiac Move. And the group is amazing, like rock, they do all original music and it's all positive. And it was amazing to be able to go over there and work with them to help me figure out where to play, who to meet, how to set things up, and just how to generally get around Austria. Coming from Hawaii with my driving habits, going over there, it was amazing.
Now you did grow up in Hawaii, and you grew up with music in your family. Do you remember like the first time you felt the pull of music and knowing that, yeah, that's where I'm going?
No, I never. What I can remember the first time is the first time that I realized that music is something you could do to make a living. But since I was really small, I never thought in my head that, oh, music is what I want to do, because I never thought about it being a choice. I just loved music so much. My parents both, my father is resting in heaven now, but he played tons of instruments and did a lot of artwork, and my mother is a singer. And we had a lot of friends and family who were all the time making music, and to me it was pretty much second nature just to be in the middle of music happening all the time.
Now I know that people that are watching this that are from Hawaii might recognize some of your dad's work because it's still prominent in Hawaii, is that correct?
Yeah, my dad was a muralist and an artist and a musician, and a lot of people knew my dad for many different reasons, and one of the coolest ones was that he and my mother were the parents of 11 children.
So in other words, you got to play the piano when the other 10 were not around.
Well, we definitely did a lot of sharing. Our house was loaded with instruments. Instruments and chess. I don't know how that is, but everybody loves chess and music and arts and stuff like that.
So where in Hawaii did you actually spend most of your time then?
The first half of my life, we spent a lot of time on the windward side, which is near Kailua, Kaneohe, and then after about 12, 13 years, we moved to the North Shore, which is, man, not to have favorites of the island, but I love the North Shore. It's amazing. There's just the people there, the ocean it's just a wonderful place to be.
It is. What was the music scene like when you were younger, living there? What was the actual music scene like? What did you do to go to find music?
Well, both of my parents, like my dad always had a gallery, and he'd do a lot of live music in there. And then some of the evenings when I was young, he'd go out and play music in some clubs and stuff with some friends. And my memory of that was always having to stand outside the door because I was too young to go inside. So I'd stand by the side door or one of the back doors by near the stage where I could look and listen or whatever. And sometimes if the place was slow, whatever, they'd let me sneak in and sit in and just play a couple songs. But and then one of the cool memories I had was when my dad opened up for B.B. King in Honolulu, and that was pretty cool to actually get to meet an artist at that level and him be so humble. That's one thing that really just struck me because unfortunately I met a lot of artists who are really, really popular, and they can't fit their ego through the door. But B.B. King, he was so warm and welcoming that if you didn't know his history of music, you'd never know he was famous. He's just that warm and humble.
Well, I have to add just a little story about B.B. because, again, as a guitar player, of course, he was one of my favorite. And we did a show with B.B., I think, I'm so bad with time, I'm going to say 3 years ago. And he came out, he sat down, and he was literally 2 feet in front of me. I actually had to back up because I couldn't shoot him. And he breaks a string. He hits the guitar, breaks a string. He gets the string off Lucille, which is probably the most iconic guitar in the world, right?
Yeah, I gotta say.
Yeah. So he gets the string off the guitar, and he reaches over to me, and he's handing me the string, and I back up, and I go, no, take it. So I have a string from Lucille in my bedroom, just waiting there. Yeah, so.
Wow, man. Broken by B.B. King himself.
Broken by B.B. King, absolutely. Now, you've also played with a lot of major artists. You played with Jack Johnson, and name some of the other folks that you have actually played with.
Booker T. Jones, Mick Fleetwood, Jake Shimabukuro. It's so much fun working with Jake Shimabukuro. And then Mike Love. And just, lots of artists, but it's really special and an honor for me to share the stages with them and share music with them. But more importantly, it's really incredible to meet artists who have a similar view. They want to put positive music into the world.
Right.
Especially like Mike Love, man. I hear a lot of artists who sing positive things and try and teach positive things, but Mike Love is one of the few artists I've met that lives what he sings about. So if you listen to any of Mike Love's songs and he's talking about being honest and just, he's really, when you meet him, he's really just living that, and it's amazing.
Well, if some of you may remember, we were actually at this venue, which is a private residence in Carlsbad, and Mike Love was here.
Oh, that's cool. You got to meet him.
Yeah, so we did get to meet him, and so for those of you that are wondering who he's talking about, you can go and watch our interview with Mike Love also. So
I recommend it. He's cool.
If he says he's recommending it, then you have to do it. So getting onto the tour, so you just got off the road, and I know you're booking something up in Washington State in the next week or so?
We're not off the road until the end, until December. We've been out since June this year, and it's our first year with like a full, intense touring schedule. So we started in June. We were on the East Coast of the States, and we went back to the West Coast and the East Coast again, and then we were back home in Hawaii for 2 weeks doing some shows. And then in July, we've just been gone nonstop. I was back in Hawaii for 11 hours to do a show with Jack, and we were there, and then we were back out again. And just now, 4 days ago, we got back from Europe, and we're out over here. And then after here, we're gonna go back up to Washington, drive all the way up to Whistler, and we're doing a bunch of shows in between there. Then we're back here, and in November, we're gonna be in Australia for the first time. So
going down to the Kangaroos.
Yeah, man.
Have you been down there before?
Never been down there before. It's our first time, and we're really looking forward to it.
So put a saddle on one of the Kangaroos, ride around a little bit, and play some music all night, right?
Well, I heard, you got to give the Kangaroos their space. It doesn't matter how much karate they'll get you.
So because when this interview comes out, it's going to be in November. So people seeing this, the trip to Australia is in...
It will be from November 7th until about November 27th to 28th. About then we'll be flying back. I always forget what the time zone change over there, so we'll be in between that window, and then we have
I think it's 5 days in the future over there.
It's at least a day in the future. So we got to call them and figure out what's going to happen. We just call them up. But November 29th, the end of the month, we're going to be doing a really special show back in Hawaii at the Blue Note. So folks who will be watching this will have a chance to make it out there if they want.
Now, you actually are involved in about 3 different projects. I know you play with your brother, and the name of that band is different.
So there's about 3 projects now. One of them that is called Ron Artis II and Thunderstorm. Thunderstorm's my brother, and we write a lot of music, and it's mostly primarily acoustic, singer-songwriter, like folk, blues, bluegrass. It's all over, but it's really embedded in soul. And then the second project is called Ron Artis II and the Truth. And this is primarily a 3-piece, and it's myself, my brother Ron Artis, and he's from the group Heavenly, and then my good friend Tony Baruso from the group Introspectra, he's on bass. And so we 3 get together and create a lot of soul music, and funk, and blues, and we just have a lot of fun. We just come from doing the Joshua Tree Music Festival just yesterday. And then the third project is I do a lot of solo work, but we have some really exciting stuff I'm working on with a friend on cello, and another friend on tabla. So it's going to be acoustic guitar with all these various percussions and cello, and that's going to be one of the really cool things coming out next year.
So, for your friends to keep abreast of your music and find out more about when you're doing some releases, and since you have so many projects, is there a website I'm sure that they can go?
Yeah, there's a central spot. They can either go on my Instagram or my Facebook or my website, and it's all ronartis2nd.com. For the internet, our second is like 2 I's.
Gotcha.
But yeah, they can find that, and if they take the 2 I's away, they can learn more about my dad.
So Ron Artis II on the internet, right?
Yep.
Okay. Otherwise, you're going to get his dad.
Yeah, my dad has a lot of incredible things on there too. So either way, you're going to find some cool stuff on the internet.
Did you play a lot with your dad when you were younger? Or did you get that opportunity?
Every single show I did, my dad was right there with me. It was a really heavy, needless to say, heavy intense time when he passed away. Because my dad was my best friend. Yeah, he was my best friend. I learned most of my music from my dad, and we just spent a lot of hours and years making music together. So it was really special.
I kind of imagine I know your dad because you probably that's where you got your integrity from and your character. So I have a feeling I know your dad.
Thanks so much. Yeah, he was really clear about that. He was a musician, did a lot of touring stuff in LA and whatnot, and he said, if you're gonna learn music, there's a few things you gotta know, but one thing you gotta know is if you're supposed to be somewhere, and it's the first time you gotta be there an hour early and you be prepared. He would don't take people's time for granted, and just live each moment like it could be your last.
Well, I know that we've got to get going because you're getting ready to perform, and I want to be broken down and in there listening.
Thank you.
Let's talk really brief, though, about what's going on tonight, how you got involved with this, and what the people that are going to be here can expect.
I'm going to be sharing an acoustic solo evening with my guitar and singing a lot of original songs that I've written years ago, written with my brother Thunderstorm, and a bunch of new ones that we've written through this year of touring and everything. And I'm honored that the family has invited me to come here and play because I met them through the internet. I think their son was listening to my music at home or something, and these parents were like, "Hey, who is that?" And he's like, "Oh, that's Ron Artis." And then a few hours later, he was listening to another track with my band, and they're like, "Hey, who is that?" He's like, "That's Ron Artis." And they're like, "I think we gotta call this guy up and see." And so it was funny. I can't remember if it was a text or a Facebook message, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds really cool." And then we got on the phone, we started chatting, and I think they couldn't believe that it was actually the artist who called back. And I was like, because I enjoy doing things really grassrootsy, but it worked out so special, and I'm just honored to be here tonight and share some music, and I hope everybody has a great time.
Well, we appreciate you taking some time with us, sincerely, and I'm looking really forward to hearing you. We were listening to some on the way down, and it's incredible. If you get a chance, you got to come and see this guy when he's in your town, and if you don't get a chance for that, then get out there and buy his music and support the arts. We're going to catch all you guys on the backside. See you soon.
Aloha. Thank you, man.